Hello, my name is Dr. Kaitlin Forestieri, and I'm the psychologist in the Psycho-Oncology section within the Department of Supportive Oncology at the Levine Cancer Institute at Atrium Health. And today, I would like to talk to you about care partnering, more specifically, how to avoid burnout while you are a care partner for someone in treatment. So to get us started today, I'd like to start by discussing if you're already burnt out. Maybe you have become interested in this topic later than you had hoped, and you might be already a little bit crispy. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I just want you to think about your answers. And depending on the answers that you have, it should be fairly obvious whether you're starting to get a bit crispy from burnout or whether you're still doing pretty good. I want you to ask yourself, how often are you getting a good night's sleep? And by a good night's sleep, we mean 7 or more hours. Is this every day? Is it often? Or is it seldom? Or never? How often are you keeping up with leisure activities that you enjoyed doing before you became a care partner? Are you still doing things that bring you joy every day? Are you still doing them sometimes? Or have you not really made time to do those things in a while? Are you finding yourself more irritable and losing your temper with other people? Are you finding it difficult to concentrate? Do you find that you lack the energy to cook, clean, or take care of other things that used to be part of your daily routine? How often are you feeling hopeless about the future? Every day or never? Are you using substances like alcohol or maybe prescription sedatives in order to relax at the end of the day? Do you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by everything that you have to do? Are other people telling you that you're burnt out or that you've been spending far too much time care partnering and neglecting yourself? Perhaps the person that you're care partnering with, the person in treatment, perhaps they're even the ones telling you that you need to make more time for yourself. And how often do you feel that someone is looking after or caring for you? Is this every day? Or maybe sometimes? Or never? Just as you're care partnering and looking after someone else, someone should be looking after you as well, even if it's only yourself. What about care partnering makes it so easy to burn out? Well, there are a lot of demands that are associated with caregiving. There's the physical demands of assisting the person with whom you're caring for. For instance, perhaps you're helping them transfer from their bed to the wheelchair. Perhaps you're helping them transition from their wheelchair into the bathtub. Perhaps you're now having to carry the heavy load literally. The person that you're care partnering with may no longer be able to lift heavy loads, may not be able to carry the laundry, help put things away, etc. There's also the task of transportation. Unfortunately, I think we all know that for folks that are still actively receiving treatment, and also people that are still in the early phases of their remission, there's a lot of appointments that need to be attended. Most of these appointments are likely to be in person, and as we serve folks all over the Carolinas, Georgia, the Midwest, etc., um, everybody lives a variable distance away from the hospital. So this might mean spending an hour sitting in rush hour traffic in the morning trying to get to your appointment or to your partner's appointment. Or perhaps this is something that's less stressful and you live very close to the hospital and maybe this doesn't take up as much time. Or perhaps you and the person that you're care partnering with never really needed a car or transportation to this extent before. Perhaps you were happy taking public transit, and now that's no longer safe because of the amount of germs that are on public transit. You also may be stepping up to help the person manage their medications. Similarly, to the extent of the doctor's appointments that you may be helping them attend, they probably have equally as many, if not more, medications now that they may need to manage. Medications that need to be taken in the morning, noon, and night. Maybe all three, maybe a combination. This may look like sorting their pills into a pill organizer, or this may look like emptying the pills into your hand at the specified time every day. Making sure that they have enough medication, that their prescriptions have been refilled, that they're available for pickup. This may also include household tasks, including with the physical demands. Again, you may be taking over the laundry, doing the dishes, doing the cooking, because the person no longer has the energy to stand in front of a stove for an hour to make dinner. Maybe the vacuuming, the mopping. Financial management. Unfortunately, cancer treatment is not cheap, and insurance does not cover everything. So it's likely that you've had to make adjustments to your budget or will have to make adjustments to your budget. Keeping track of both any medical debt that may be occurring at Atrium specifically, also the cost of medications, prescriptions, anything over the counter that's needed, any assistive devices, anything that makes the day-to-day a bit more comfortable for the person. And again, you both need to eat. And perhaps you're both so exhausted that you don't have the energy, neither one of you, to stand in front of the stove. And so perhaps you're ordering out a lot more. All of this adds up. And so you may be balancing a checkbook or be the one responsible for paying the bills for the first time. You may also have to take on a role of advocate for your patient. Sometimes, despite medical providers and professionals' best intentions, the person may not be heard about the amount of pain that they're in or about how intense the side effects of their chemotherapy has been this week. And so this may mean stepping up and being the person that says, hey, I'm at home with them. I see the toll this is taking, and this isn't okay. And the emotional demands. Cancer diagnosis and treatment is not only difficult for the person receiving the diagnosis and the treatment. You also, as a care partner, are having to grieve. You're grieving the life that you may have had with your care partner before the diagnosis, the way things have changed, the new responsibilities that you've had to embrace. Perhaps you've had to take time away from work. Perhaps, again, you've given up things that bring you joy. And it's anxiety provoking. Nobody, including the medical professionals, can guarantee how anybody's going to respond to treatment. And so this can start to really weigh on you. In addition to, I would guess, feeling guilty about the fact that you're having emotions about the fact that your person that you're care partnering with has cancer. You may be telling yourself, well, you're not the one who's sick. So it's selfish of you to be feeling this way. And I will tell you that that is not helpful. So what is helpful? How can we start to reduce burnout? The primary way to reduce burnout is to engage in self-care. Now, over recent years, self-care has become a hot button topic, and people throw it around, throw that term around to mean anything. But when we really are talking about self-care in the therapeutic way, in the way that will help you reduce burnout, we're talking about the practice of taking an active role in one's own health and happiness, particularly during times of stress. Okay. We should not be backing down from or moving away from self-care because of stress. Should not be telling ourselves, oh, I'll make time for that later. There's not time for that right now. I don't have the energy or the money for that right now. Now, one thing I would like to clarify about self-care is it's not always fun. It's not always enjoyable. It's not always going and getting a massage. It's not always getting your nails done. Sometimes self-care is taking care of things that maybe aren't fun, but are taking up headspace for you, that you're having to hold somewhere in your brain to remember to do them later. So, for example, getting your tires rotated. That might not seem urgent, and it certainly doesn't seem fun to sit at the mechanics while they do that. However, you're still having to hold that in the back of your mind. Oh, I have to remember when I have time that I need to go get my tires rotated. Oh, I need to try and remember to run and do that tomorrow when I have a spare hour, etc. Those things add up. Okay. So when we're talking about self-care, we're talking about all of the different kinds, the fun and the relaxing, and the not so fun and not so relaxing. So this could be environmental, emotional, personal, professional, spiritual, social, physical, financial, and or mental. Why is it important to engage in self-care? Why do you need to take care of yourself in order to take care of the person you're care partnering for? Well, if you've been on an airplane before and you've happened to pay attention to the flight attendants while they're giving the safety briefing before takeoff, you will probably recall that they instruct everyone to put on their own air mask before helping any children, older adults, or disabled people around them. And this may have struck you as odd at the time. If it did, hopefully you received some explanation as to why that's necessary, but if not, let me clarify that for you right now. That's because if you become unconscious from your own oxygen deprivation, you can't help anybody. You cannot help your child put their mask on if you're already unconscious because you tried to get to them first. So in order to ensure that you can be helpful to the most amount of people, you have to take care of yourself first. Another way to think about this is like pouring from an empty cup, okay? We all only have so much energy in a day, and each task that you're doing takes a little bit more from you. Some tasks, however, such as the ones that are associated with self-care, can fill that cup back up a bit. If you're not engaging in the self-care, however, you end up with an empty cup and you have no more left to give to yourself or to anybody around you. So once again, we're talking about efficacy, about your role with your role as a care partner. You also may run the risk of developing either compassion fatigue or vicarious trauma. Sometimes these terms are used interchangeably, but they do have two discrete meanings. Compassion fatigue is when you care so much for as long as you can. And then one day you find yourself going, wow, I don't care. I don't have it in me right now. And you might feel awful for that. You might find yourself becoming irritable or snapping. You might be saying to your care partner, I know you're in pain. You've told me 10 times. Whereas 3 months ago, you never would have responded that way. This is because, again, your brain only has so much compassion to give. And once it runs out, unless you're doing something to build that back up within yourself. Vicarious trauma is more specifically related to symptoms of PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. So while you may not be the person who's receiving the bone marrow transplant, you may not be the person who is actively receiving chemotherapy or radiation, you may be present for these things. You may see these things happening. You may be present during the doctor's appointments, or perhaps the person you're care partnering for is telling you about these things. They're telling you how awful their bone marrow transplant was. They're telling you about the pain that they're in that they've never experienced before. And you can actually start to develop symptoms of PTSD yourself, despite the fact that you're not the one receiving treatment. So this may make you want to avoid taking care of this person, Maybe you no longer want to take them to the hospital because you feel incredibly anxious thinking about this. Maybe you start avoiding your own doctor's appointments because you're so scared to find out that you also have cancer. So, knowing how important it is and the risks that we run by not engaging in self care, let's talk about some of the barriers. I'm sure you've already been thinking them as I've been talking. Well, Dr. Forestieri, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. I can't afford to go get a massage every week. When am I supposed to fit in getting my nails done between all of my person's appointments? Okay. So let's go ahead and address these barriers of time, money, disinterest, pride, and shame. Again, we can go ahead and knock off time and money. Okay. You have to make time. Okay. So this is about setting boundaries when you need them. This may be about asking for help. Maybe you ask your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor, somebody else to take your loved one, your care partner, to their infusion appointment today because you are just so close to empty and you know you need to get the things that are on your to-do list done in order to fill yourself back up a little bit. Regarding money, not all aspects of self-care require money. Okay, some of the fancier kinds, the kind that might be pushed on you by social media, by television, etc., like massage, do cost money. Other kinds, like actively practicing mindfulness or going for a walk in nature, are free. They don't cost anything. Disinterest. There's bigger fish to fry for you right now. So you're not really worried about it, or at least you don't think you are. However, you are. You are worried about it. You need to be, because again, you're going to end up on empty. Pride or martyrdom, being able to say, I have done all of this myself. My brother didn't step up, but I did. Look at everything that I've done for my mom, my dad, our other sibling. And you might take pride in that. And sometimes this is falling on your own sword. Okay. So when we're talking about martyrdom, we're talking about not asking for help, not setting appropriate boundaries, essentially bleeding yourself dry just to be able to say, I did it. I did it on my own when you don't have to do it on your own. And then the shame. I mentioned this briefly before, but you may feel ashamed or guilty or embarrassed about needing to take care of yourself, about feeling so exhausted, about feeling so irritated and anxious yourself. And so you don't do anything about it because you think people will judge you. Maybe you're worried either your care partner will judge you or you're worried that the people around you will judge you. I can assure you that that is not the case. In fact, you will likely be celebrated for taking care of yourself. So let's talk about some practical strategies to self-care since, we're acknowledging at this point that self-care is not always the fun, fluffy things like massage or getting your hair done or going golfing, okay? Some of these things used to be, hopefully, part of your daily routine. Getting enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours minimum a day. Taking a shower, eating a good meal, eating at least 3 good meals, okay? Now, with this, we can be flexible. We all got to start somewhere, okay? So maybe, yeah, you stop at Burger King on the way home and you feel guilty about that because, you should be eating healthier, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You're doing what you can to keep your head above water right now. And sometimes good enough has to just be good enough. But when you can, please try and throw some fruits and veggies in there because if you are not keeping yourself healthy, you can't keep your loved one healthy. You cannot help them make it to their doctor's appointment if your immune system starts dropping and you catch the flu. Okay. Go get your oil changed and your tires rotated. Make sure that your car is still functional and safe to get both you and your loved one to these appointments. Move your body. This doesn't have to be going to the gym for an hour. Doesn't have to be going to the gym at all. This could be taking the stairs instead of the elevator. This could be walking around in nature, outside. Maybe just do a lap around your house. Get something off of your to-do list. Again, this is taking up more mental space than you probably think it is. It might be paying a bill. You just keep saying, oh, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, and you don't. And so that envelope continues sitting on your kitchen counter. And every time you see it, you feel that little pang of anxiety. Oh gosh, I really need to pay that bill. Do it. Take the 5 minutes to pay that bill so that you can get it out of your headspace. Engage in your hobbies. Do things that bring you joy. If you're a spiritual or religious person, continue engaging in prayer. Lean on your church community. Go to church. Journal. Get your thoughts out on a page. If you're not the journaling kind or the journaling type, maybe attend a caregiver support group or engage in your own individual therapy. There's nothing wrong with needing support from other people during this time. See your own PCP. Take yourself to the doctor. Do not neglect your own health for the sake of taking care of someone else. With relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or progressive muscle relaxation or guided mindfulness, it can be a lot easier to integrate these techniques into your day-to-day life if you pair them with something you're already doing. Now, you can ignore as much of your own basic needs, including sleep and eating and showering, as you want. However, you're not going to be able to avoid going to the bathroom all day, every day. That's something you're going to do. So, recognizing that, maybe you pair taking 3 deep, slow breaths every time you go. Okay, that gives your vagal nerve some time to regulate itself, gives your nervous system some time to regulate itself, gets the necessary oxygen to your brain that allows you to make good decisions. Okay. Other ways to reduce burnout. Okay. This is about taking things off of your plate. So encourage your loved one to see a mental health professional, which we have that at Atrium. We have the psycho-oncology team, which includes myself, social workers, licensed marriage and family therapists, licensed mental health clinicians, psychiatrists, nurse practitioners, who are all there to provide mental health support to the person who is going through treatment or is in recovery. This does not have to be your job. You do not have to be their therapist. When it becomes maybe too much, look into respite care. Perhaps this is 1 day a week where somebody comes and sits with your loved one and gives you time to go grocery shopping, to take a nice long shower and wash your hair, and to take a nap. But maybe you need more than a day. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe somebody comes 3 times a week for 2 hours. Find something that works for you and fits well for you and your care partner. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Okay. There are other people in this person's life. When and where you can hand off some responsibility, do so. It is unfair for it all to fall on your shoulders. Get creative with your solutions to problems. Maybe you have 9 loads of laundry that need to get done. Okay, that seems overwhelming. That seems like quite the task. Take them to a dry cleaner or to a laundromat. Laundromats have extra, extra large washing machines and dryers. So maybe that 9 loads of laundry becomes 2. And instead of having to spend 9 hours doing laundry, you spend 2 hours doing it. And maybe it's right next to the grocery store and you can get your grocery shopping done while your clothes are in the dryer. Okay? Get creative. Sometimes it's hard to see creative solutions to our own problems, especially if we've been looking at them for a long time. So this is another excellent opportunity to reach out to your friends, to your family, to mental health providers, to medical professionals. Say, hey, I have this problem. I don't know what to do about it. Do you have any ideas? In addition to reaching out when you'd like some support with finding solutions, reach out or respond to friends and family for yourself to have some normal social interaction that doesn't completely revolve around cancer. There's nothing wrong with that. And always remember that no is a full sentence. You do not have to say yes to everything. You do not have to be a yes man or woman. It's okay to say no sometimes. We have resources for you. So within Atrium, we have the Nurse Navigators and we have the Cancer Resource Center. LCI, Levine Cancer, also has the Care Partner Support Group, which is being held currently on the first Thursday of the month from 4 to 5 p.m. If you're unsure if that's changed by the time you see this video, you can always ask pretty much anybody at LCI, and they should be able to find that information for you. There's also some local to Charlotte resources, such as a cancer support group with St. Matthew's Catholic Church and the Charlotte chapter of the American Cancer Society. Psychologytoday.com can be helpful in you finding an individual psychotherapist for yourself. And there's some websites that have some good resources for folks that are either caregivers themselves or to support a caregiver that you know that's struggling to ask for help, and sometimes even to support the person who is diagnosed. And again, friends and family. Sometimes people don't know how to help, they don't know what you need. So they say, whatever you need, I'm there, just tell me. And then you don't hear from them for a while, and you start to feel abandoned. Well, it's possible that that person really genuinely doesn't know what you need, and they don't want to become a nuisance to you. So let people know how they can help. Say, hey, I really appreciate that offer. Um, Getting some food for the week would be so helpful, right? And then maybe you end up with like 5 casseroles. Okay. Tell people how they can help you. Give them the opportunity to step up. Okay. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to leave comments on this video. Please feel free to reach out to any LCI professional or any advocate health professional, any medical professional, anybody. Okay. We're here to help and support you while you help and support your loved one.
Thanks for watching. For more information, visit us online, send us an email, or give us a call. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are released. And most of all, be well.